Psalm 80, verses 8 through 11 says, "You removed a vine from Egypt. You drove out the nations and planted it. You cleared the ground before it, and it took deep root and filled the land. The mountains were covered with its shadow, and the cedars of God with its thoughts. It was sending out its branches to the sea and its shoots to the river." Well, if you're joining us in reading through this 6-month reading plan through the book of Psalms, today's reading is Psalm 80, verses 8 through 19, and I encourage you to read that section. Well, today I'd like to take a moment and reflect on the sovereignty of God. The history of Israel reflects the sovereignty of God. History is shown in the Old Testament up into the New Testament that shows the sovereignty of God. The history of the church shows the sovereignty of God. And if you have a relationship with Christ, that also shows God's sovereignty. Well, during this time of the coronavirus, some of us have lost a sense of God's sovereignty. It's easy to lose sight of this when you're up to your neck in alligators and people all around you are feeling an intense fear. God is still in control no matter what the surrounding experiences are. Let's think back to a time when Christians were executed for their faith. Now, really, we don't have to go back too far in memories to picture those Christians who were executed by ISIS. We don't have to go too far back in our memories for the Christians in Egypt who were blown up while attending church services. Far worse things have occurred in Christian history than what is going on now. God was in charge then, and he is in charge now. We need to change our focus. We need to change how we think about the situation in the world around us. We need to stop thinking about fear and start thinking about ministry. How can we serve those around us? How can we present God as being in charge, not by word, but through deed? How are we reaching out to those who are struggling and consumed by their fears? Hebrews 2, verses 14 and 15 says this, "Therefore, since the children share in the flesh and blood, he himself likewise also partook of the same, that through death he might render powerless him who had the power of death, that is the devil, and might free those who through their fear of death were subject to slavery all of their lives." We do not have to fear death because Christ overcame death by death, and through his resurrection we can live. We need to comfort those who are struggling by physically helping them and then by telling them about Christ and his salvation. And if you would like a PDF copy of this entire reading plan, please send an email to phineasjacobus@runningtohim.net.